When working with images, there are two color modes, color spaces that are available to work with images. One is RGB, or red, green, blue, which is a method that works for video cameras, video screens. It also works for scanners, projectors, and things like that. And it involves light. When you have no light, you get black. When you have as much light as you can possibly have, you get white. And then we have another form, another style of color called CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. It's a 4-color process. It's used for printing. It involves cyan, magenta, yellow, and black ink and mixing them to create the colors. And when you have no ink, you have white, and when you have 100% ink, you have black. Now the thing is, you're pulling images for this history project from the web. And when you pull images from the web, probably they're going to be in RGB, but we are designing something that we're going to then use to print, or the intent is that this project it would be printed. And so we need to actually make a conversion from RGB to CMYK. And I'm going to demonstrate why we'd want to do that. So RGB treats color differently than CMYK treats color. And so if we go and change this RGB image here to a CMYK image, and I don't want to flatten it, and I'm going to click OK. And you can just see how much color change there was in this Honda sign and in these colors down here. They're not the same colors. If I hit Command Z to undo it, it looks like that. That's RGB. And that's CMYK. So CMYK colors tend to be duller than RGB colors. The reason we want to, and so, so maybe the color looks better in RGB. Why would we want to change it to CMYK? The reason is that the CMYK, when we go to print, if we don't make the conversion, it's still going to look different. It's still going to look duller when it gets printed. And it's good for us to actually know what that difference is going to be. And so we want to make that conversion. Also, what we have is that we have images that we pulled off the web that might be 1,000 pixels by 600 pixels. We're also going to want to change that from 72 pixels per inch, which is the default for web, to 300 pixels per inch, which is the default for print. I just say 72 pixels default for web, right, and 300 is the default for print. Finally, images for the web are saved in what's called JPEG format, which is a compression format. It takes, and it's what's called a lossy format. So what happens is that if you have a full color image taken with your camera and it's converted to a JPEG, what they do is they take there might be 200 different reds in an image, and it might drop it down to 20 different reds. And your eye doesn't really notice that so much, but every time you save the file, it's going to lose more and more color, and it's going to get more and more, it's going to lose more and more information. So we generally save images, take them out of JPEG mode and put them in Photoshop PSD mode or a .tiff mode if you don't have Photoshop. and that allows you, that saves the information. There may be some compression, but it's not, the amount of color is not lost each time. And so you can then continue to make corrections and not lose more information every time you save it. So I'm going to give you an example here. So I've already gone, the first thing we do is go to image mode, and we check it, make sure it's CMYK. If it was RGB, we change it to CMYK. Secondly, we're going to go to image size. We're going to tell it, if resample is checked, we want to turn off resampling. And we want to change this resolution from 72 to 300. And you'll see that this image was, at 72, was 56 inches wide and 56 inches tall. We changed the resolution to 300, and we now see that it's only 13 inches by 13 inches. So roughly changing from 72 pixels per inch to 300 pixels per inch means your image is about a quarter of the size that it originally was, but that's how large it can be and still be sharp and not show any of the pixels that make up the image and have it look continuous. Click OK. And then I'm going to do File, Save As. I'm going to go to my desktop. In this case, I'm going to put it in my project folder. Design history paper, images. And I'll just put it right here. And notice how down here it says format. I can choose Photoshop. I can choose TIFF. Either one of those will work successfully. I'm going to stick with Photoshop. And I'm going to click Save. Click OK. And now I've changed my image to CMYK. I've changed it 300 pixels per inch. And I've saved it in Photoshop or TIFF format. And now I'm going to do the same thing with one of the images I pulled off the web. So File, Open. Go to Artsy. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to this one, the Elizitsky, and I'm going to open it. I'm going to go to image mode. See, it's RGB. I'm going to change it to CMYK. Click OK. Images that are taken of things that were already done for print are unlikely to change a lot because they've already become CMYK at least once upon a time. So then I go to image size. Again, I make sure resampling is turned off. If I don't, it's just going to change. If I change this resolution, Photoshop is going to invent pixels, and I don't want it to do that. We got 300. So this image can't really be used any larger than 3.5 by 2.5 inches. Click OK. And now File, Save As. And instead of JPEG, I'm going to tell it to save as Photoshop. And save it. Okay. And you want to do that with all of the images that you have downloaded so that we can be ready to print. So that when we pull the images into our print project, they'll be ready to print.